there, not just in Connecticut, but in the near future in Mississippi and Texas as well. So around that time, it will be much safer.
As these states ease up a bit on some of these public health measures, do we know how much involvement public health officials, experts like yourselves, are involved in this? Is it politics that are playing a major role? Is it a mix of politics and public health advice that the state officials are using to try to come up with these new measures?
In various states, and not just in the South, there is this tendency to have quote unquote consultations with public health people and then do whatever they want to do pretty much anyways. So there is one thing to have consultation,
Yes.
to say it more directly, than to actually have, include that in decision making. At the federal level, things have substantially changed in terms of there's actual, starting with evidence. You can trace a sort of a line between the emerging evidence, public health recommendations, and then executive decisions. It is not that clear in all states, and it's not just Texas and Mississippi. There are other states, including in the Northeast, where it's one thing to, for a lack of better framing, parade around public health professionals in press conferences, then actually have your decisions based on evidence-based recommendations. So that's one thing. Having said that, I understand. So it's not just political. I think it's a sincerely held belief that they have to have other considerations, and political is not. I'm not a politician. I'm a scientist, so I don't have admittedly detailed understanding of all the nuances that come with an elected leader's pressures and all of that stuff. Setting that aside, there are other non-public health reasons to consider some of these actions. So it is not just that they're doing it for any nefarious reasons. They're doing it by having other considerations than public health as part of decision making, and at least that's what it seems. So in this kind of a situation, sometimes the decisions are not best for public health, but we have evidence, even from other fields, that the best economic response, and it's not even ambiguous now, that the best economic response is the same as the best public health response. So you can't have an outbreak that has a different economic response and then not have a direct control and sustainable control. And that's an important word. Not just a direct control, but a sustainable control of the outbreak.
Dr. Saad Omer is an infectious disease epidemiologist and director of the Yale Institute for Global Health. Dr. Omer, thanks so much for walking us through all of this. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
The Takeaway is supported by Progressive Insurance, offering a way to buy home insurance with their Home Quote Explorer tool. Custom quotes and rates are available online. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Now that's Progressive.
And by Indeed, with tools like Skills Test designed to help quality candidates show hiring managers what they can do. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
You're with OPB, and throughout the morning, we will update you on the House, who are debating and set to vote today on President Biden's expansive $1.9 trillion COVID bill. We'll have details of what's in it, what got left out, and what could happen next. Also, California Governor Gavin Newsom defended his administration's handling of the pandemic during a State of the State address on Tuesday, and without responding to it directly, he rebuffed an effort underway to recall him as governor. We'll hear about reaction to his speech in California with Here and Now this morning at 10. Support for OPB comes from our members and from Comcast Business with internet speeds of up to a gig and a network with added protection. Learn more at comcastbusiness.com. Yesterday, Oregon Governor Kate Brown announced changes to risk levels at various counties throughout the state. You can find that story and much more at opb.org.
Welcome back to The Takeaway. I'm Matt Katz, in for Tanzina Vega. Today, the House of Representatives is expected to pass a $1.9 trillion stimulus package, marking the one-year anniversary of the start of the coronavirus pandemic. The American Rescue Plan, which passed the Senate over the weekend along strictly partisan lines, is President Biden's first significant legislative initiative. In an attempt to fight the economic downturn caused by the pandemic, the bill will inject the economy with an unprecedented amount of federal aid that targets families in need of assistance. With me now is
testimony to the council by emailing our council clerk at cctestimony@portlandoregon.gov. The council is taking these steps as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the need to limit in-person contact, as well as to promote physical distancing. The pandemic is an emergency that threatens the public health, safety, and welfare, which requires us to meet remotely. Thank you all for your patience, your flexibility, and your continued understanding as we manage through this ever-challenging situation. With that, we'll hear from legal counsel on the rules of order and decorum. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. To participate in council meetings, you may sign up in advance with the Council Clerk's Office for Communications to briefly speak about any subject. You may also sign up for public testimony on resolutions or the first readings of ordinances. The published council agenda at portlandoregon.gov/auditor contains information about how and when you may sign up for testimony while the City Council is holding electronic meetings. Your testimony should address the matter being considered at the time. When testifying, please state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. Please disclose if you are a lobbyist. If you are representing an organization, please identify it. The presiding officer determines the length of testimony. Individuals generally have 3 minutes to testify unless otherwise stated. When your time is up, the presiding officer will ask you to conclude. Disruptive conduct such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If there are disruptions, a warning will be given that further disruption may result in the person being placed on hold or ejected from the remainder of the electronic meeting. Please be aware that all council meetings are recorded.
Thank you. First up is communications. Keelan, the first individual, please, item 141.
Request of Scott Weber to address council regarding Hazelnut Grove tiny cabin community as a benefit to the Overlook neighborhood. And I don't believe Scott has joined the meeting yet.
Oh, okay. Well, if he shows up by the end of communications, we'll plug him in at the end. 142, please.
Request of Casey Boggs to address council regarding Hazelnut Grove Camp on North Greeley update.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you all hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Great. I truly hope you all can listen to what I have to say. I'm here on behalf of the Overlook Neighborhood Association Board, and I lead the Homeless Update Committee. While everyone is well aware of the city's homelessness issues and that we as a society are failing miserably to address how we address the homeless situation, the Overlook Neighborhood Association has requested multiple times that the unsafe, unsanctioned, and self-ungoverned Hazelnut Grove camp be transitioned to St. John's Village, as promised by the city, to provide necessary shelter and services to its residents. In January 2021, the city definitively notified all residents over the neighborhood through a mailer that Hazelnut Grove would officially be transitioned to St. John's Village alternative shelter managed by Do Good Multnomah. Then on February 23rd, we learned, not from the city, but from a report on OPB radio, that this transition is not taking place. Your decision is now an about face from what you notified the entire neighborhood less than a month earlier, and frankly, over the past 6 years of Hazelnut Grove's existence. Why and how did the city make this conclusion without consulting or contacting the Overlook Neighborhood Association and the residents that are adversely affected by this unsafe camp? And yes, the camp is still unsafe, as proclaimed by the city's Bureau of Environmental Services, Portland Fire and Rescue, and the Portland Bureau of Transportation. What's more, there have been 2 recent fires reported on Coin and KTU TV on the hills adjacent to Hazelnut Grove caused by camps. It's time to do better, frankly. The city and the Joint Office of Homeless Services have demonstrated that there are viable models like St. John's Village for connecting homeless residents to services and providing shelter in ways that do not require camping illegally in public spaces where basic sanitation and assistance are unavailable. Please keep your word to safely help the homeless population with sanctioned shelter and services and keep our neighborhoods safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next individual, please. Keelan, 143.
Actually, that concludes the communications unless Scott has joined, but I don't think he has.
Oh, you're right. Scott, are you there? Going once, going twice? All right, thank you. Thank you, Casey, for your comments. We appreciate it. Consent agenda, have any items been pulled off the consent?
We've had no requests.
Please call the roll.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Hardesty. Maps.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye, the consent agenda is adopted. We're not yet at the time certain. We'll move to the regular agenda. Can we move to item 146, please?
Appoint Angela Jones to the Charter Commission.
Colleagues, the Charter Review Commission consists of 20 members appointed by the City Council who serve 2-year terms. The city charter is a written grant of authority by the people of Portland to the City of Portland. The periodic charter review process is an opportunity to engage Portlanders both on how local government functions and to offer amendments to reflect our community's evolving needs. There's a vacancy on the Charter Review Commission. Commissioner Rubio is bringing forth an appointment to fill that vacancy. Commissioner Rubio, please take it from here.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased to introduce Angela Jones to the Charter Commission. She is filling a vacancy, as the mayor mentioned. She grew up in Corbett and then also currently lives in Portland, obviously, but also has lived abroad and is now back in East Portland. And she's also a small business owner, and she's excited about joining the commission to help the city to thrive in the future and for the good of all the people in Portland. And those are direct words from Angela. So we want to just thank Angela for her willingness to serve our city on this important commission. This is a really critical undertaking that has some very important items on this agenda, and will work to review and improve our city government for future generations of Portlanders. So we owe her a lot of appreciation. I'm not sure if Angela's here, but I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor.
I'm here.
Oh, Angela, well, please, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited about this. You know, we moved back to Portland in 2013, and we're so happily surprised by the vibrant city it had become. But I think we all know that the pandemic and the very important fight for social justice has really taken the veneer right off. And it has exposed some serious systemic problems. And I'm so excited to be part of figuring out how we fix those things instead of just complaining about them. So I'm honored and I'm excited to dig in, and I thank you so much.
Angela, thank you. We're really pleased to have you step forward. Colleagues, I don't know if anybody has any specific questions for Angela or comments. And if not, we'll move right to the, Commissioner Maps, you have your hand raised.
Yeah. Actually, I'll pull it down. I'll save my comment for later.
Very good. Keelan, please call the roll.
Mayor, did we get a motion to accept the report?
No, it's not a report. This is a resolution. I should have asked if there's public testimony. I assume not.
No testimony.
Very good. Please call the roll on the resolution.
Rubio.
Just want to say again, thank you for your willingness to serve. I vote aye.
Ryan.
Hello, Angela. Welcome to this important role. Thank you again for service. And I'm also delighted to know that you're a small business owner. I vote aye.
Hardesty.
Aye.
Maps.
I had my hand raised earlier just because I wanted to thank Ms. Jones for her service on this important committee. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
Angela, you're a great appointment, and we're thrilled that you have an interest in stepping forward and serving. There's going to be a lot of interesting issues over the course of the next year, and you'll be right in the thick of it. And you're certainly up to it. You bring a broad perspective to the table. So I couldn't be happier than to vote aye and approve the appointment. Thank you for your service. Next item, 147, please.
Amend Portland Tourism Improvement District to add tourism and hospitality recovery surcharge and revise the periodic sunset review requirement.
Colleagues, this is a second reading. We have already heard public testimony on this item as well as a presentation. Is there any further business? Commissioner Maps, I think you have your hand raised.
Yes. Before we vote on this, I wanted to do a couple of things. First, I want to thank everyone who testified on this issue last week. I think this is an innovative strategy to help a deeply wounded industry recover. Based on the communications and conversation that we had in council last week, one of the things I would like to do is to ask Travel Portland to come before council in about 6 months and testify on how funds for this project are being spent and the impact that they have had on the community. There are 5 specific questions that I hope that Travel Portland will address. First, what outreach strategy has been used to reach diverse convention interest, and what have been the results of that outreach? 2, how have businesses of color been supported in bringing tourism back to the city? 3, who benefits from the 1% fees that we are about to adopt, or I hope that we're about to adopt? Is it mostly central city hotels, or are we also benefiting less centrally located hotels and other venues throughout the city? 4th, a majority of staff that have been laid off over in the tourism industry and at Travel Portland. We'd like to see who's been hired, specifically a racial breakdown of who's been hired. And finally, I hope that Travel Portland can address what businesses are being supported and highlight how they've been supported through various marketing efforts. Those are some of the things that I'd like to see Travel Portland do in 6 months. I've talked to Travel Portland about this, and I believe they're happy to fulfill this request. I don't think I need to make it a formal amendment or motion or anything. I just wanted to put that out on the table. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Maps. Commissioner Hardesty.
Thank you. I also just want to thank Commissioner Maps because when we had this conversation last week, there was concern about whether small hotels would be detrimentally impacted by this additional tax. And one thing Commissioner Maps and I did not discuss is, as these federal dollars come down, how are they going to have an impact on Travel Portland and its industry? So it would be really important for us to know whether they're able to get new either loans or grants that come in to support the industry. Because if so, we'll know that in 6 months if they've been able to acquire that. And if so, it may lead us to actually reduce the 1% increase because they've been able to get those resources elsewhere and take that burden off the back of very small hotels who, honestly, I don't know what economic forecast they're looking at, but I don't see tourism coming back as fast as Travel Portland's optimistic presentation reflected. So I really appreciate Commissioner Maps bringing those questions. And as I said to him, I didn't need an amendment either, but it's just important it's on the public record and we have an agreement that we're going to have this particular conversation about who benefited and who didn't with us increasing this tax by 1%. So thank you very much. It's always wonderful when we hear each other and we adjust based on what we hear. So appreciate the partnership, Commissioner Mapps.
Excellent. Any further discussion? Keelan, please call the roll.
Rubio,
I want to thank the team at Travel Portland, given that they will have a large task ahead of them in this very challenging environment. And I too just want to support and echo the comments of my colleagues. And I'm interested in hearing more about how this initiative impacts BIPAC hotel owners and owners on the East Side moving forward and over time, as well as learning more about the specific outreach strategies to immigrant businesses as well. So I vote aye.
Ryan.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, first of all, Jeff Miller and your team at Travel Portland. That was an awesome presentation last week. And I think the dialogue we had last week, the conversations we're having at this moment are all show some consensus around concerns. I know my questions were also targeted towards that 1% for the smaller hospitality motels, hotels outside of the central core. So I really appreciate Commissioner Mapps, you formalizing it a bit. I know we're not doing an amendment, but it's on the record and everyone's head is nodding like we're all bobbleheads on this right now. So there's consensus and I think we're all rooting for you. I mean, it's something that's really important. It's hard to know what the optimism is, but we just are rooting for you. And it seems like you're being as creative as possible to sustain your industry and get some of your employees back to work. So I am delighted to support this amendment, and I look forward to being a partner with everyone on City Council as your industry comes back to life in the way that we appreciate it here in the city. And I do look forward to this conversation about 6 months from now so we can see the progress that's being made. I vote aye.
Hardesty.
I also want to thank Travel Portland for that very in-depth presentation. Clearly, the travel industry has a huge impact on the city of Portland and our revenue base and our ability to do many of the things that we care about. But we also know this pandemic showed us that when the travel industry closes down, oh my gosh, it really, really, really closes down. It will be a slow, painful recovery. I have absolutely no doubt. All the economic indicators say that the travel industry will be the very last that comes back. And while I appreciate the optimism of Travel Portland, I think in 6 months, we'll have a better sense on whether or not that optimistic presentation is going to be realized. It will take a while for people to be comfortable on airplanes and hotel rooms and in conference meeting rooms. And we look forward to continuing the partnership with Travel Portland to make sure that when it's safe, that we are actually embracing visitors back into our city. I'm very happy to vote aye.
Mapps.
Aye.
Wheeler.
It's hard to believe that it was actually just a little over a year ago and the travel and tourism industry in Portland was on fire. Same with the convention business. We were trending in the right direction. Things were thriving. It was becoming a more significant component of our local economy. And of course, all of that hit the skids once COVID reared itself up. And so here we are planning for the recovery phase. I think all of us have question marks about how that's going to come down, but I'm pleased that the industry through Travel Portland is being proactive and they're thinking about what it's going to take to actually put a firm foundation under the growth of the travel and tourism industry as it comes back at whatever pace it comes back. And it's a rare day when the city council votes on either a tax or a fee increase that's proposed by the industry that would actually pay that fee or tax. And so I also want to acknowledge and applaud their willingness to put skin in the game to support their own industry. And I, of course, wish them the best of luck in their recovery. It's important to all of us in this community that travel and tourism and hospitality does recover as quickly as safely possible. I want to commend Commissioner Mapps for the very specific questions and the benchmarks that you've put on the table. I think those make a tremendous amount of sense, and I can't see any reason why Travel Portland wouldn't look forward to the opportunity to come back and share where they are with us in 6 months or whatever time frame you and the council believe is appropriate. I think it's a great suggestion, and I support that as well. I'm happy to vote aye. The ordinance is adopted. With that, Keelan, let's go back to the time certain item. We're now in the correct time frame, item 143.
Appoint members to Planning and Sustainability Commission for terms to expire May 31st, 2025.
Colleagues, today we're going to appoint and welcome 4 new members to the Planning and Sustainability Commission. This is a key commission in the city that addresses our future growth and land use plans and advises the City Council on land use planning, zoning, and other issues. As the Mayor and Commissioner of Finance and Administration, I request your confirmation to appoint 4 new members to the Planning and Sustainability Commission. Valeria McWilliams will fill a currently open position effective immediately with 3 additional appointees, John L. Bell, Gabe Shoships, and Erica Thompson, for positions that will be vacant as of June 1st, 2021. All of these are 4-year terms running through May 31st, 2025. These 4 appointees will bring a wealth of expertise, diverse experience, and perspectives to the Planning and Sustainability Commission, and I'm pleased to be offering them up for appointment today. Thank you for your consideration. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Rubio to share her thoughts on the work of the Planning and Sustainability Commission. Commissioner Rubio.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to share a few comments about the Planning and Sustainability Commission and our goals in working with the Commission. As many of you know, the Planning and Sustainability Commission was formed by Mayor Adams to combine both the Planning Commission and the Sustainable Development Commission 12 years ago. And the PSC includes 11 volunteer members with expertise in a range of areas, from land use and planning, architecture and design, conservation and natural resources, and community development. And we're excited to welcome these 4 new commissioners, 1 now and then 3 in June, as the mayor noted. But first, some background on the Planning and Sustainability Commission. Their major role is to advise us, City Council, on Portland's long-range goals and plans, land use and planning policies, and ensure sustainability practices are integrated into those plans. The PSC has a specific charge and statutory requirements through the state land use law to steward and maintain the city's